The boards of Mario Party 9. Where do I even start? Technically I already started in my introduction in yesterday's video, but for a bit of a refresher, if you are new to the world of Mario Party 9 after faithfully playing through the entire series so far, you are going to have culture shock. Mario Party 9 changes the formula drastically. All players move together in one vehicle and each player takes turns being the captain, or in other words, the player that has all of the board events happening to. Because of this, you want to be the captain when good things are approaching you, whether it's getting a whole bunch of mini-stars, or playing a game that can drastically improve your chances for winning. With that being said though, there are also events you want to avoid, and sometimes being the captain can be your biggest downfall. It all depends on how much the RNG likes you, and to a slightly smaller extent, how the other players want to treat you, as they can heavily impact the position you are in when you become captain at a later date and time. On some boards, being the captain can be absolutely stressful, while other times it's definitely something you want to take advantage of. So while the ultimate goal is to reach the end of the board with the most mini-stars, there are different strategies and ways to approach each board and things you should keep in mind. This is one thing I'll give credit to Mario Party 9 for. Each board does feel different and avoids a pitfall that I think a lot of people were concerned about when this game's gameplay style came into light. That pitfall being all of the boards just being a palette swap and feeling incredibly similar to each other, which would have made this list so much harder to make. Thankfully, that is not the case, and I can bring you guys today the board ranking of Mario Party 9, at least in my opinion. Number 7, Bob-omb Factory. I'm not going to pull any punches. This board was absolutely hell on story mode, and beyond that, it's not much fun to play in regulation either. This board is absolutely the board you never want to be the captain on. Throughout the board, you will find a variety of bob-ombs. After moving a certain number of spaces, the bombs will explode, and whoever is captain at that point will lose exactly half of their mini-stars. Half! So if you have a huge lead going, say goodbye, because the Goddess of Luck doesn't want you to have any of that crap. I think the worst thing that can happen though is losing half of your mini-stars when you are trailing the winner. It's bad enough that the person has a lead on you, but if you get exploded on, that lead is going to be significantly harder to close the gap for. It honestly just makes this board really frustrating to play on, and I'm still reminded of my very first story mode playthrough, where I had to play this board a total of 7 times before I could move on to the next one. It just was not that fun at all to play. End of story. Number 6, Magma Mine. Bob-omb Factory is honestly the board in this game that feels unplayable. All of the other boards, while I wouldn't say they are spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, they are at the very least decent to play on, and for a board like Magma Mine, that is a bit of a relief because the gimmick of this board could have been a disaster. During the course of this board, which takes place in a giant volcano, lava will rise as you try to make your journey to the very top. If the lava rises too high and you are the captain when it reaches the same level as your hand car, you will of course lose mini-stars in the process. However, I do appreciate how the game notifies you of where the save points will be when you are moving around. It allows you to check your moves, potentially change your moves if there is a better option, and just in general is a pretty good way to handle a mechanic that could have been absolute hell to use. It may be the second lowest board of this ranking, but it's miles of steps better than Bob-omb Factory. Number 5, DK's Jungle Ruins. This board just so happens to be the secret unlockable board of this game. Bowser Station is also unlockable, but you only unlock it by playing it through story mode. This is the board that you need to save up for and purchase with the points you've acquired through playing the game so far. For being a bonus board though, it definitely feels very bonusy. In fact, this is often a board I forget about when thinking of the main boards in Mario Party 9. It's definitely not bad, it's a unique twist compared to the other selections as you collect bananas instead of mini-stars, and the boss battles are rather Donkey Kong Country-like bonus games than boss fights, but it just feels kind of underwhelming compared to some of the other boards, or rather, more underwhelming than some of the other boards. I suppose I should stress again that I don't exactly feel like any of the boards here are truly that great. Number 4, Bowser Station. When did Bowser get obsessed with space all of a sudden? I know the Galaxy games had something to do with it, but that's only 2 games in Mario's main franchise. I guess it's because the lava board was already taken care of, I guess. Anyway, for Mario Party 9, much like 8, Bowser's home board takes place in the cool recesses of space, or to be more precise, a space station. The main gimmick of this board is a giant jackpot machine where mini stars will get put into the machine to be used in a minigame for all of the marbles. This is a pretty unique way to distribute extra mini stars, as it does put the emphasis a bit more on minigame skill than actual luck-based elements. Speaking of which, there aren't a lot of traps and obstacles to avoid here. It's really just the jackpot mechanic, 3 board events where you can get mini stars, and the boss battles. Kind of weird to see a Bowser board like this. I suppose they wanted to put more attention on the epic boss battles than they included, but in that case, let's remember that the boss battle games for both Bowser and Bowser Jr. were also some of the worst in the game already. So as a result, I can't really see this board scoring any higher than 4th place.
Well, unfortunately I just came out of GameStop empty-handed. They did not have Mario Party 10, they didn't have any new amiibos I was interested in. They had basically nothing. However, I'm not really that surprised. I generally have to go to a bunch of different places anyway whenever I go on one of these trips, and even then, it's still not a guarantee. You see, the Indiana government and the corporations in general, they like to feed off of my anger and saltiness because it fuels their war machines. Speaking of which... off to Best Buy.
Number 3, Boo's Horror Castle. After the epic fail that was King Boo's Haunted Hideaway in Mario Party 8, I was really concerned about this one, especially when considering what Boo stands for in other Mario parties. On the whole though, this board is definitely way more tolerable than the other haunted board on the Wii. This board does have its problems though. First of all, much like the Bob-ombs in Bob-omb Factory, the ghosts that travel around the area have the nasty habit of taking all the captain's mini-stars. However, unlike the Bob-ombs, the Boo enemies can actually be avoided, which is already a huge plus for me. There are also different and alternate paths you can take that can easily avoid the ghostly lurkers in the hallways if you would rather just avoid the buggers completely and let your other opponents deal with them instead. Of course, this also means that they could screw you over as well, so don't give them too much to work with. Another annoying point is at the end of the board, where in order to finish the board you must open a gate that can only be passed through if your captain rolls a higher number on the dice block. Thankfully, if you do not succeed, the number on the gate will decrease and you have a better chance of clearing it next time. But considering you have to take another lap around the final room with the added possibility of getting screwed over by Bowser spaces or other annoying happenings like Boo, that doesn't exactly add a lot of comfort to the player who probably just wants to finish up the board once and for all. Despite being annoying, that's really all this is. Otherwise, it's a very decent board, but that's just it though. It's decent. Number 2, Blooper Beach. Blooper Beach is another one of those not bad but only decent kind of boards, and in terms of ranking it, I would put it a small bit above Boo's Horror Castle, but only a small bit. The thing I see with this board in terms of advantages is the fact that each third of the board has one gimmick or one kind of feature that makes it pretty unique. In the first part of the board, you start off by chasing a dolphin, who, when you catch up to it, will give mini stars to the captain. After the dolphin disappears, from behind, a shark will start following you, and if it manages to catch up, it will take mini stars from whoever the captain is at that point. Honestly, I think this event was well done, because it allows you to experience both sides of the captain experience. A time where you clearly want to be captain, and to take advantage of the items you have, and times you want to avoid it. And the best part is, even if you run into the shark, unlike in other boards, it only takes a few stars from you and not half. Already an improvement. This way, it doesn't necessarily punish you for catching the short end of the stick. The final parts of the board are pretty standard, just your typical turn all mini stars to mini black stars and vice versa events, avoiding whirlpools that will get you stuck with more mini star losses, and a typical race to the end that is common on pretty much every board. There is a lucky space at the end of the board, though, that can lead to a bit of misfortune or fortune, depending on what happens. You get taken to a star island with a lot of mini-stars and opportunities to get more mini-stars. While this could be good if you are behind and need a way to catch up, I'm not very fond of areas like these where you need to land on one particular space to get out, because it almost seems to happen when I absolutely don't want it to happen. But I suppose that's a pretty common occurrence, though, with anybody, so overall, it's not terrible, but not anything that spectacular either. It does look very nice, though. Number 1, Toad Road. I had actually wondered if I would rank Toad Road as number 1 very early in the series, and I told myself I would not intentionally try to do that because it's the typical and standard introduction board. The board with the least amount of chaos, and the board that pretty much shows you what you are up against in this game, how to play, and what to expect. However, at the end of the day, it's honestly the board I can tolerate the most just because I'm not a huge fan of this style of Mario Party. Not to sound like I'm unreasonable or unadaptable to change, but it's just not what I look for in a board game, and as a result, I just don't have a lot of fun with it. This board is the most tame because it's essentially a tutorial board of sorts. It's the board where there aren't any stupid enemies wandering around to steal half of your mini-stars, or the board with a major gimmick that can affect the entire standing in one random dice block movement. It's basic, tame, and a board you can just sit back and relax with while playing. I really don't have much more to say than that because, well, there isn't much to say. There's no part of this board I really hate, and nothing I really feel that is stand out either. I mean, the board layout is cool and it looks nice, but that's really about it. Not to make Toad Road seem like an underwhelming winner, though. Honestly, it all just goes back to the fact that this game is Mario Party 9. I give a lot of respect and credit for trying something new and different, but it's not my style, and from the popular opinion, that seems to go for a lot of other people as well. This is what worries me about Mario Party 10, because from the sound of it, many of these same problems seem to persist in that game as well. I'm still going to check it out, but I'm not really expecting a whole lot either.
Guess what, guys? I finally got it. After 2 weeks of waiting, I finally have my hands on a Silver Mario amiibo. Oh, and I also got this too. But now, with that out of the way, I officially have to drive home. So this has been SlimKirby on the road. Thank you for joining me, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.
Well, that's it for Mario Party 9, and that's it for the series. I want to thank all of you for joining me for these minigame and board rankings. I had a lot of fun doing this despite all the work I had to put into this, but at the end of the day, I can safely say that my mission was accomplished. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking me about Mario Party 10, and if I plan to rank that game as well. At the time of this video being posted, I should officially have the game finally, but it's going to be a while before I even start thinking about ranking the minigames and boards of that game. And because I don't have a great way to record the DS and 3DS Mario Party games, I can't really do rankings for those either. And for Mario Party Advance, that game doesn't really even count, and I don't really even see how doing a ranking will even work for that one. But I would like to officially announce, though, that I will be starting a playthrough of Mario Party 10 soon, after I've played through enough of it on my own time, and you can probably expect that to start in the next month or two. For now, though, I'm going to take a little break from weekend series and projects, maybe get a few streams out there in the meantime, possibly even a Star Warrior Cup, and then I'll see you guys for Mario Party 10 in the summer. Thanks again for all of the support and feedback, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Later, folks.